good to be on the Invincible.
That was lit.
This man right here is a bad, bad man.
We can do some damage on some churros down there.
Yeah.
24 players in the green room tonight at the NBA draft, but I think there is 8 specific players who can make an instant impact on whatever team selects them this evening. The first player is a guy that I've followed for years now, and it's just because of his uncommon skill set, and that guy is Danny Wolf. He's a really, really good 6'10" point guard, simply put. We saw him at Yale. He did the unthinkable, beating Auburn in the NCAA tournament 2 years ago. Transferred to Michigan and had a flat-out fantastic year. Brought his team all the way to the Sweet 16. He's got potential interest from teams the back half of the lottery and all throughout the 20s in this NBA draft, including teams like Memphis, Minnesota, who has Julius Randle and Naz Reid on contracts ending this summer, and a team like Brooklyn, plenty of picks and could go a lot of different ways with it. But Danny Wolf is an extremely gifted playmaker. He can pass it very well. Like I said, he's a 6'10" point guard. He can defend. He can play out of ball screens super, super well. He can play from the post and be a playmaker from the post, which not a lot of people have that ability. He can get a bucket in what appears to be with ease. So he can score from all 3 levels. He's quicker than he may appear too. He has a Jokic-like quality in that sense. He has an extremely uncommon skill set. And I think in the draft, when I'm looking at guys who I think can make an impact in the league, it's what makes them uncommon is that standout factor. Look at a guy who just won the finals MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Coming out of college, he was a 6'4", 6'5" guy with a way too long of arms that needed to figure out his three-point shot. He was uncommon, and that's what I think makes these draft prospects different and gives them room to sort of fill that box that needs to be checked, or maybe a box that we don't know a team needs. And Danny Wolf can be perfect for that, because I'm sure whatever teams he's worked out for, as they get higher in the selection order, they're probably upset because they don't want to miss out on a guy like Danny Wolf. I think he's going to be awesome in the league, and I know I would not want to turn him down. Second on my list is Walter Clayton Jr., and I will never understand why teams, why people, why organizations are napping on this guy. And the great college player, I don't know if he'll be a great pro player thing. I think it's baloney. You got to throw that out the window, because he's showcased such dynamic shot making. His ability to be a leader, his ability to show up in the clutch. That's what's helped him work his way up these draft boards into being a first-round pick in what's shaped out to be kind of a light point guard draft class. His explosiveness, like I mentioned, his ability to shot create, those are the calling cards with Walter Clayton Jr. And I don't think he'll be an instant starter. That's not why he's on this list. I think he'll be an instant impact off the bench somewhere. You look at the Pacers this year. Somebody like Andrew Nembhard wasn't drafted to be a starter, but has come off the bench and made a huge impact for this Indiana team. Karis LeVert, kind of what he's done his entire career. Being a scorer off the bench, being a guy that can come in and get a bucket and quickly. And I think this is a great comparison for Walter Clayton. He's a tougher version of Jordan Poole when he was drafted to the Warriors. A guy who is in college known for being such a dynamic scorer, can put the ball in the basket in a matter of different ways. And didn't begin his career as a starter. Came off the bench for what was a championship team, found his spot. People realized the potential as a starter and as a guy who could lead a team. And somebody like the Wizards took advantage of that. So I think Walter Clayton Jr. can absolutely be something like that in the NBA. I think later in that first round, that Minnesota, Atlanta, Miami sort of region around those 20s, that'll probably be an ideal spot for him. And we know he loves Eric Spoelstra. So I think by the end of the night, I'd be surprised if he kind of went anywhere else but Miami. That's my thought. He strikes me as a Miami guy. They had great eyes on this Florida Gators team all year long. Third on my list is UConn's Liam McNeeley. And there's been super positive feedback from McNeely in this draft process. Teams have really, really enjoyed what they've seen, especially since last year during his freshman season at UConn. It was kind of a weird one because UConn went from back-to-back national champions to this Dan Hurley drama to not winning the games that maybe they should have. Plus, McNeely was kind of injured. He had the ankle issue all year long and was never really able to resolve it until now. And now we see his all-around offensive ability. I think teams like the Nets, teams like the Heat and the Jazz that are in that range will be able to see that and will really, really enjoy that part of Liam McNeely's game. And you got to think, I mean, this guy, he's not just your typical UConn, this guy can do it all player. Like, he was a dynamic one. He played with Cooper Flagg at Montverde Academy in high school. He was a five-star McDonald's All-American. He played at one of the top programs in the country. And I think that resume sticks with him because you watch him and he plays very mature. You would never have guessed that Liam McNeely was a freshman playing at UConn, especially the way he was able to lead. He's got a textbook jumper that I don't think will take any time to be on full display in the NBA. He's a confident kid, good with his left and his right, but most of all, I think he just plays the right way, and I think that's going to be really attractive to a lot of teams that they want to pick the right guy. You really can't go wrong with a dude like Liam. Number 4 on my list is a guy from the SEC, Georgia Bulldog Asa Newell. He's scored in double figures every game but 3 at Georgia, has really battled against the other bigs in the SEC, i.e. Jani Broome, Amari Williams. He gave those guys trouble in conference play. And what he's done is he's really helped himself in the draft process. He showed a lot of his physical tools and also offered the fact that he can be a stretch four by growing his shooting ability. And by doing so, he's helped teams understand what he can do as a stretch four. And I think the versatility there is really, really enticing. He's not a guy who's going to back down from anyone. He's very tough-minded, also very with it. I think when he's on the floor, you can tell that he's a guy who gets it. He can score fluently in the paint. He's an alley-oop threat 24/7. Whenever he's on the floor, you're worried about him catching a lob, rising up and dunking on your favorite player's favorite player. He's a 6'11", rim-running shot blocker. Certainly a long-term upside for him. And I think a team like Brooklyn, who's got a ton of picks in this year's draft, could absolutely bring in a guy like Asa Newell, who's a solid. He's a solid for a team that needs that in their locker room. One of those come in, get it done kind of players, one of those dudes who doesn't feel like they're dominating the game, but when you're done and you look at the box score and you realize he had 20 and 15, you look back and you say, well, yeah, he dominated the game. So I think a good team is going to get a great player when it comes to drafting Asa Newell. And the last 4 guys on this list, I think, are probably regarded as the top 4 prospects in the draft. And why I save these guys for last is because that's why they're getting drafted in these top 4. They are going to be instant impact players. And we'll start with Ace Bailey. Questions about his personality. Omar Cooper, Sharif Cooper's father, as his agent, controlling his pre-draft process. Nah, I'm putting that to the side. I'm dealing with player here. And this guy, you could tell, absolutely loves the game. Ryan Hammer sat down with these dudes ahead of the NBA draft, and you could tell just by the way he spoke about the game, about wanting to get in the gym, wanting to go and get other players. You can tell he's got it. He's got that piece to him that's so impressive, and that honestly most superstars have. He's got absurd length at his size, 6'10", can score at will. At Rutgers, he was great at taking and making terrible shots. So when the floor opens up like it does in an NBA system, you're playing with pros that get it. And with it being more of a one-on-one kind of style game like the NBA is right now, it's a position where he could flourish and become an absolute problem. So of all the cards in the deck, I don't think you should sleep on this ace. Next, I look at Baylor's VJ Edgecomb. I think he will be an instant impact guy if he does, in fact, go at number 3 to Philadelphia. You look at that fit, it's perfect for what Philly is building, I think. And with the question marks, with the confusion around Ace Bailey in this pre-draft denying Sixers workouts, I think if the Sixers want to go with the best option for them, go VJ Edgecomb. He's the most athletic wing in the class. He's a high flyer. He can play great up and down, whether that means up and down the court like this or vertically. In transition, I think he's fantastic. He crashes the glass. He's one of those guys that can do it all. He can guard a bunch of positions. You're looking for a little more three-point growth from him, but he has the base of a 3-and-D guy. At 19 years old, which he is right now, he very much to me resembles a 19-year-old version of a D Wade, of a Victor Oladipo, those kind of players, super athletic, 3-and-D foundation. Maybe in today's league, even somebody like Christian Brown from Denver, a guy that's just been able to make a difference on a team where it's needed. He checks, in my opinion, the short-term success box, and also a guy that you can count on to be great for you in the long term as well. And in Philly, pairing him with the young guard tandem of Tyrese Maxey and a healthy Jared McCain with I'm sure I'm a Sixers guy, so I know it's not going to be the case, but a healthy Paul George and a Joel Embiid, I think that could be a very tough group if VJ Edgecomb is created and built into it as a key piece. I think that could be a great steal for the Sixers. Number 7, I'm going Dylan Harper. I think he's obviously the number 2 pick in this year's draft. However, I am very curious about his fit with the Spurs, right? Chris Paul, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson. They're deep at positions similar to those of Dylan Harper, all those that he could play. And granted, at Rutgers, he was primarily playing the 1. He was a do-it-all point guard and played some 2 at points. But if the Spurs are able to find a comfort zone for him, I expect he'll do great things and fast, because that's just the kind of player he is, as we saw this year at Rutgers. But I think if it's a rocky start, it might take a little longer, and I'll be interested to see sort of what that looks like. But put him in the right spots and he can be an instant guy. And regardless of what they do with him, Dylan Harper, he's a ball dog. Defensively, he likes to get into passing lanes. I'm interested to see what his growth looks like as a defender. A lot of these guys are offensively prided, but I think if he prides himself more on defense, he could be dominant for the Spurs team, and look for them to take off in the Western Conference. Can score basically whenever he wants. He's got great ball handling for 6'6" at his size. Can score at the rim in a myriad of ways: left hand, right hand, up and unders. Basically any way imaginable, this guy can get to the rack and score the rock. So I think for the Spurs, it's a great pick. They just got to find out the best way that they can figure out to use him. And last but not least, I know this is going to shock everyone here. An impact guy at number 1 is going to be Cooper Flagg. Dallas. He went there for a visit, toured the city, toured the facilities, held an on-court workout, and supposedly left a fantastic impression, which shocks, I know, no one. He's set to make his NBA debut at 18 years old, and adding him to the fast track, right? The number 1 pick you throw in, and you expect to be one of the guys in day 1. That's what this Mavs team is going to do, because right now they're dealing with a little bit of a playmaking void, right? Kyrie Irving is going to be out majority of next year with the ACL tear. That versatile 2-way skill set that Cooper holds, I think, will be very much an instant thing. And I think his tempo, his pace of play, his smarts for his age, and his ability to just make his teammates better by simply existing will be huge for this Dallas Mavericks team that's kind of still trying to find their way. Plus, if you look at their roster up and down, it's not all that unlike what Cooper dealt with at Duke. Con Knippel at Duke is the Mavericks version of Klay Thompson. Anthony Davis with the Mavericks is Duke's version of Kaman Malawak. So similar lineup of positions and skill at these positions, where Cooper, I think, can step in and be pretty comfortable in Dallas. Now, those are my 8 of the 24 green room guys at tonight's NBA draft that I think can, when they get drafted, make an instant impact on whatever team is lucky enough to select them. And the second round's a whole different deal. I'm just dealing with the guys in the green room.